Hey guys, this is Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist. In this case, showing you the Gorka knife Afghan Operation Enduring Freedom Kukri, which is this knife that you see here. If you're not familiar with Kukris, they are originated from Nepal, where they are used a lot by people there for as utilitarian blades, for working in the fields, everyday tasks. They're also famous because they're the weapon of choice of the Gorka warriors. Gorka soldiers have a Kukri knife with them. There's two things that I liked especially about this knife. First of all, the thing that caught my attention the most, guys, whenever you're removing a Kukri from its sheath, typically it's made of leather, so you have to hold it this way so as to not get cut in the edge, because there's always a possibility of cutting through. So you hold it this way, and pushing a little bit against the spine, you remove it that way. What I liked mostly about it is the blade shape. The blade shape was what caught my attention. It is, in my opinion, it is perfect for a Kukri knife. I've seen some that have too much of a steep angle in that recurve. This angle is too much, and they lose functionality of the tip, both for stabbing, for penetrating, for cutting holes into stuff. You kind of lose that when the angle is too much. They're still great for chopping, not so great for penetration and stabbing. This is perfect in my opinion. I think it's a home run in terms of the blade shape. So, two things besides that make this knife very appealing to me. First of all, Kukris in general have been a while for a long time, and knife collectors do know about them. Now, the thing is, you generally want an original Kukri knife, which this is. This is an original Kukri knife made in Nepal by a true kami, which is a blacksmith, a caste of blacksmith in Nepal that make Kukri knives, have been doing so for generations. So that is something very nice about it. It is an original Kukri knife made by a real kami. You see the videos on YouTube. If you look it up, you see these skinny little guys sitting on the floor with a small anvil, just hammering away at a big piece of steel. So that's one of the nice things. Now, what's also interesting, at least to me, is that they obviously understand that there's an interest for these knives, and understood that there's a big Western market for it. So they made certain changes, variations, to what it would be a classic Kukri knife. For example, the typical classic Kukri knife would have a buffalo handle, a buffalo horn handle, which would have a narrow tang going in there and being basically glued into place. Now, that would be the typical way in which they used to do it, but it's not nearly as strong. I mean, it is very good, but it's not as strong as a full tang. Full tang, as you know, it is the strongest possible handle you could have. All right. Then they knew that Nepalese guys have a smaller hands. They're smaller frame people, and in general, what happened was that Westerners found the handle to be too small. Not the case here. You have a 5-inch handle, which is enough for medium and large size hands. This is rosewood, by the way. The blade is forged using the classic methods that the kami blacksmiths use in Nepal. This is 5160 steel, forged to shape, and with a differential heat treatment. About 55 Rockwell on the edge, and the spine does get quite softer. That's a good combination that you generally find in handcrafted blades, the differential heat treatment. I thought that maybe it would be more fragile, not trusting that much the way in which they probably do heat treatments. I thought, let's try out the tip. I tried stabbing this into wood and tearing away to the side, trying to break it in some way. Not the case. It is very strong. Stabbing into wood and putting leverage into it, trying to snap it, didn't happen. And I'm surprised by, I mean, this being a handmade knife. Those of you that are used to industrial blades may find all these little flaws and imperfections surprising, given that you will rarely find any of these in an industrially made knife. But this is generally what you find when a knife has been handmade. Old school kind of construction. But as I was saying, the tip is very good, very detailed. I mean, you could do some detailed work with that tip there, and it does hold on very well. The knife is very sharp for a knife of its size. It's not losing anything in terms of sharpness. And again, that tip, very good. It did come very sharp, but I touch it up just as well a little bit. The Kukri knife is favored by adventurers and explorers. People like Hugh McManus have written about the functionality of the Kukri blade. It has the chopping ability almost of a hatchet because of this angle there in the blade. It has the way of being used as well for more detailed work by holding it this way and using the tip for whenever you have like more, you have to be more careful on what you're carving or cutting. Then you have the first curve here. It is good for peeling fruits and such. So you keep it very sharp here as well, and here's where you chop with it. And you understand basically why it is that it's so good for multi-purpose task and for a weapon as well. I mean, it was what in 2010, September 2010, there was a Gorka soldier taking a train in India. A gang of 30 criminals, 30 raiders attacked the train, and they started robbing the passengers. And when they went they tried to rape a 19-year-old girl, and the Gorka soldier said, well, this is enough. He brought out his Kukri knife and started chopping away, cutting people into pieces. He killed 3 of the criminals and wounded another 8, sending the rest of them running away. You know, one single guy with a Kukri against 30 armed criminals in a train in India. Yeah, I mean, you can see why in a confined place such as a train, a weapon like this would be something you would not want to encounter, especially not in the hands of a very determined Gorka warrior. I think he said that killing his enemies in the field was his duty as a soldier. Killing raiders in a train was his duty as a human being. I think yeah, very determined guy. But yes, you know, a big knife, 11 inches, almost 10 centimeters across. This is indeed heavy, 40 ounces, almost a kilo of weight. Yeah, but then again, you get a lot of knife for that. It's also interesting how they saw, appealing obviously to a Western market, the sheath, even though using classic methods of construction, because this is a classic sheath for a Kukri knife. They went for an almost camo-like desert tan camo finish, almost. Looks good. Yes, the sheath is definitely the thing that you may criticize the most to some degree, compared maybe to a Kydex sheath, which would be better for certain things. Still, this is what they use over there, so I'm pretty sure that it would work for a long period of time before having any problems. But yeah, you will not have the wear resistance of plastic, of Kydex, in comparison to leather. Again, typical Kukri sheath. It has the 2 little accessory blades. It has the small kadra knife, which is a small knife for more detailed work. And it has the chakmak, which is this thing here, which is like a steel for touching up the edge of your Kukri. Basically, you do it this way. Not very effective, as if you're going to be comparing it with a proper sharpening stone or steel. Not as effective, but you know, it does put a little bit of a bite back into the edge, touching it up on the sides. And if you don't have anything else, sure. So yes, that's basically it, guys. This knife is available on Amazon in 90 bucks. I think it is a good price for a blade. Not only is it very tough, very strong, no doubt, especially with a full tank construction, no doubt it's very strong. And it also has the appeal of being a true original Kukri knife made in Nepal by Kami blacksmiths, a kind of people that have been making these knives for generations. Excellent construction and a good story for it as well. Guys, take care, have a great day, see you in our next video.